Okay. The question was on the nervous system. I'm pointing you towards page 227 in chapter 9, which talks about how the nervous system works. Table 9.1 gives you solid information about events leading to the conduction of a nerve impulse. So, a signal is sent from the brain. Right? In other words, some part of your brain determines you want to move. Let's say, of course, you know the part that controls muscles would be frontal lobe, right? So, the signal is sent, right? You with me?
Yeah.
Okay. These nerves that are going to be sending the signal, they start out at this resting potential. Do you understand what we mean by resting potential? Sure. I have this, it's like I'm waiting in anxious expectation for you to tell me to move. It's kind of like how you all are in class, you know. You're just dying for information. You are just anxious to learn, right? It's good. I'm teasing. I'm teasing you. Right? Right? So, the action potential is the nerve being ready to fire, right? When that stimulus comes from the brain, if it's strong enough, what happens? In other words, it has to reach. Sure. So, if it reaches threshold, right? The threshold means what is the layer, what is the amount of stimulus I have to give you to make you actually do something? Sure, and there are numbers that are involved with that. Talking about the actual voltage of how much electricity is present there.
Not want us to know the numbers.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's there. Yeah. Okay. So, if that threshold stimulus is released, or is reached, not released, then you get the flow of these ions, right? You can see them, right? Right there on page 227, right? Sodium comes in. Sodium comes in. What goes out? The potassium. Right? This sodium coming in, that's what we call depolarizing. Right? Sure. And then when the potassium is going back out, that's what we call repolarizing. Or repolarization, right? Because while Andrew did the motion, right, if he is the nerve, right, he did fire that one time and tell Kaylin, hey, go. Because remember, we pass it down the line, right? That's the point of Andrew firing, to tell her to fire, to tell her to fire, to tell her to fire down the line, right? He then has to get ready to fire again because he doesn't know if the brain's going to tell him to send the signal again. So he depolarizes, he loses that polarization, it goes from the negative to a positive, right? And then quickly back again negative, so that he's ready. He's ready to send that next message if another signal comes, right? Does that make sense? So the brain sends a signal, or a stimulus, is how the book likes to call it, right? If it reaches a threshold, then it starts this depolarization. That spot depolarizes, then it repolarizes, which sends basically a wave down the axon. Like, in other words, this wave of depolarization, repolarization. So Sarah would do it. Then depolarization, repolarization, depolarization, repolarization, and on down the line. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Exactly. Okay? And again, this is for any signal, this is just how nerves work, right? Muscle, so if you want to talk about how muscles fire, right? They get the signal, goes through this process, but the nerve is attached to a muscle, right? At that neuromuscular junction, the neurotransmitter, acetylcholine, comes across, right? And tells the muscle, hey, the brain wants you to fire. That neurotransmitter attaches on the other side and sends signals in the muscle. Hey, contract, contract, contract. Are you with me?
And then when you ask for brief description of actual senses of work, you say, what? What's brief?
All right, 1 second. Let me pull up my...
I'm just,
No, it's fine. I have no problem at all. I'm pulling up the actual... where are you? Here we go.
yeah, I think it's from the brain and you kind of smell it and it just kind of happens. You just do it and then there's smell.
Slightly more detailed than that.
Yeah.
All right, so nervous system, here we go. Brain description of how each special sense work and the receptors used for each. Okay, so why don't we start with the nose?
Chemoreceptors inside of the nose.
Okay. What kind of receptors does the nose have? Chemo, sure. Receptors. Is there a name for them? Sure. Olfactory receptors. Okay. I'll put that in parentheses because that's the type of cell they are. How do they work?
Oh, the little hairs.
Okay. They are little hairs, yep. But how do they work? Okay. Well, the olfactory bulb is the nerve that these receptors are attached to, right? The olfactory bulb is the nerve coming from your brain that these receptors report to. But how do they work? In other words, if I want you to smell something, what do? You breathe in, right? And what happens then? Sure, that sounds like a lot of heavy words, though. What does odorant molecules are stimulated? What does it mean?
Smelling cells.
No, odorant molecules means something that has a smell, right? Little pieces. You realize when you smell something, you are actually taking a piece of that into your mouth, into your nose, right? So yeah, these chemicals, these smells, these odors react with those olfactory receptors, causing a signal. They basically cause them to depolarize, right? These are nerve cells, which sends a signal up that olfactory bulb. Where's the olfactory bulb located? Remember what it's called? That little spot?
Is that the cell turcica?
It's right near there, but not cell turcica. That's where the pituitary gland is. The cribriform plate. You got it. The crista galli and cribriform plate, that's right where those olfactory bulbs sit on top of. Are you with me, my friends?
Okay, so when you breathe in, the chemicals in the air you breathe in reacts with the chemoreceptors.
Yep, the olfactory receptors, yep. Because this is their technical name. This is just a type of something.
That's all I have.
Which causes the depolarization of the nerve, right, to send the signal to the brain through that olfactory bulb. Okay, so that's nose. How about ears? What is the receptor that we use to hear? This is definitely on the test, so I don't know if that helps you. You'll definitely see this again. We spent a whole chapter on special senses.
So,
Ear. What? How do you hear? What are the actual?
Eardrum,
Not your eardrum.
trumpet.
Not the ossicles.
That's it.
What actually does the hearing?
But,
Yep, it's vibrations. Yep.
more called little rods. Just say words now. Auditory. I'm in the book right now.
Good. Good. Book is a good place to be.
Is it the brain?
Not from the brain. Nope. We don't hear in our brain. Shall I push you to a place? Page 274. What are the?
The mechanoreceptors?
There are mechanoreceptors, but that would be in parentheses.
Let's get it.
But remember, that's not the actual name. That just tells you the type of cell it is.
Auditory. Oh, this is that one on the test. Balance, equilibrium. I'm sure.
No, not balance. Balance is different. No.
Dang it.
The hair cells, right? Those little hairs inside the cochlea. Right?
Yeah, the little, yeah.
The receptor cells, right? So talk me through the process. A sound wave comes in your ear. The auricle grabs it, right? Focuses it in. What does it do then? It makes the tympanic membrane vibrate, absolutely. Then where does it go?
Through the malleus and
Sure, the ossicles. What is the purpose? What's the purpose for those ossicles?
like, is it making a bigger one?
It is, but which one?
Condensing the sound.
Not condensing. Condensing means to make smaller.
Concentrating.
Concentrating, amplifying is the word you want. Amplifying, right?
I'm gonna pass this test.
That's one little section. Like,
It's good, it's good. Shh. Just write amplify, you'll be fine. Amplify, amplify.
You're going to spell tibia femur. That's what you're going to do.
Remember, your tympanic membrane is much larger than the oval window where those ossicles connect to. And so their job is to amplify the sound. That's why you have that whole sequence of events. The oval window is going into the cochlea, right? The cochlea is the actual part of your ear that hears. Right? Two parts of your ear, the cochlea and the semicircular canals. Right? Semicircular canals, that's for balance, static equilibrium, dynamic equilibrium. Right? The otoliths for static, the actual semicircular canals for dynamic. This is just for hearing. The hair cells. The hair cells, or instead of auditory, you could say cochlear hair cells. I'd be okay with that. Okay, what comes next?
Isn't it the stapes, the incus?
Sure, right. That's the ossicles there. Malleus. Yep. Okay, ear, nose. How about taste?
Chemoreceptors. Oh, wait a minute. No.
They are chemoreceptors.
Amplify.
So close. So close. So what actually provides our sense of taste? Ooh, she pulled out the word.
look at you, Christy. Remember, because I got that wrong.
Truthfully, that's how you remember things. Okay. Goose gustatory cells. You can also say the taste buds, right? That's another word for them that we use. But and again, it's the same thing. Whatever it is you're tasting is dissolved by your saliva. That triggers these chemoreceptors to send that nerve signal down your tongue into your brain. How about, so this would be smell, this would be hearing, taste. What about touch?
Yeah, like the 3 different receptors.
Oh, there are some different ones, you're right. Yeah.
The laminated corpuscles, tactile corpuscles, nerve endings.
Okay. But what kind of cells are these? Since we've, sorry? They are touch. Mechanoreceptors. Right, no, we'll give you the more specific names. Because again, that's just a general category. So, like for light touch. What free nerve is for pain.
Oh, that's the tactile.
Tactile, which is the P, Pacinian, right? Is that right?
E. No, that's the third one.
Oh, so what's that one then?
That one is the pressure, heavy pressure.
No, right, so you have heavy pressure,
Yeah.
which are the Pacinian. What else? What was the other term used for them?
Did you put tactile?
Is that what they call it? Tactile?
Yeah, that was the light touch one.
No. Heavy touch.
I'm sorry, heavy touch. Yeah, that was laminated. Laminated.
I'm just
Come
gonna.
on, David. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
A-game today.
It's okay.
I'm just spinning words out to tape.
We are.
I'm really making it right here.
That's all right.
What was the question?
I'm gonna be quiet.
Good. No, you're perfectly fine. Those are for deep pressure, right? The Pacinian corpuscles, and it was the Meissner's. That's what I was trying to get.
Oh, that's it. It's a little part of
Which they call the tactile.
Do we not have to know
The free nerves are really for pain.
That's what it is.
Mr. Esna, random question.
Yes.
Are we just going to be able to, well, I guess today's the last day. Are we not seeing our test before the final?
We could. You can come see them anytime.
Okay.
Yeah, today I was wanting to answer questions. I figured you would have more questions and that'd be better use than just looking at the tests.
Yeah.
But you're welcome to see them
Yeah.
anytime. Last but not least, what are we missing? The sight. What are your what are the sight
That's with the cones and rods.
cones and rods? You got it. Cones and rods. What kind of cells are these? They're photo. It's light, right? And again, this is the light that's coming through all the different pieces, right? That's striking the back of this retina where these cones and rods are. Cool? Yeah. Brief descriptions. Not looking for you. Central nervous system. Go to chapter 9. The beginning of chapter 9.
Yeah.
Page 215 is central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. Yep. Other questions?
Can we go over skeletal muscles?
Skeletal muscles, what about them?
It's on the muscular system.
Yep.
You know what? Look at it.
Skeletal muscles. What about the skeletal, the muscular system, are you asking?
Understand exactly how. Oh yeah, what's its main difference from the other ones? I mean, I know like smooth, they don't have the citrations.
Striations.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What else? What else is differences? Which one can you control with your mind, like consciously? Skeletal muscles. Can you control your cardiac muscle cognitively? You cannot. How about smooth muscle? No, you cannot. Yeah. So there's the striations, right? Cardiac muscle is like the combination of both skeletal and smooth. That's really all I want you to know as far as those go.
Can we talk about third bullet? Like understand how muscles work?
How muscles work? Okay, how muscles work is into chapter 8.
Did you like her?
I would point you to page 185. Page 185. How muscles work.
What is the word that you use when like you can control your skeletal muscles before like conscious control?
You can consciously control them. Yeah. Page 185 does a very nice job of this, explaining how muscles work, right? And there's also a lovely picture there on page 184. Signal from the brain comes across neuromuscular junction using acetylcholine, makes the muscle respond. How does it respond? You have these myosin and these actin, right? Reaches up, grabs it, and pulls it. Yes, that's sliding filament, 184. That's basically asking you, how do muscles work? And that's what I want to know. Brief. Again, I don't want thousands of pages of description. Big picture, right? That's what I'm saying. Big picture. Again, you took an A&P class. I would hope you knew how muscles worked. I hope you know what the digestive system does. I hope you know what the endocrine system does.
I don't think do, but like you myself, I don't know how to explain other people.
Well, it doesn't do you much good to know something that you can't explain. Well, no, but truthfully, knowledge that you keep to yourself is just about worthless.
That's not true. What if you have a patent? You can keep it to yourself a little bit, and then it becomes.
But you can't make any money if you don't share
I'm
it.
just saying.
I'm saying you can't make money off that patent if you don't share
But if you share
what you
it with
know.
other people, then they'll steal your money.
No, I'm not saying you give all the secrets. I'm saying, but you have to be able to express your patent in some form. Sure.
It says to have the parts of the CNS and PNS, so don't have to put that. Like after.
Sure, the brain and spinal cord.
And then for that one, I put like those things. Gonna keep the streak going till
So that's basically all the other pieces. Everything that's not brain and spinal cord.
Yeah, I just write that down. I
Sure.
don't have to know anything about those. Just know the parts.
Other questions, my friends? There was the piece here. Shh. I was asked this by a couple of folks. These motions are the motions I want you to know. There are more than those, but I want you to be comfortable with those guys.
Oh, wait, do you, that paper that we have that says like the tibialis anterior does whatever, we don't need that? Oh, that was the worst thing.
Nope. Okay. So, flexion, extension, right? This is flexing, this is extension.
Extension getting away.
Sure. Yep. Abduction, like a jumping jack, right? Adduction, adding to the body. Elevation, depression. Pronation, supination. Give me some soup, right? Pronation.
Wait, no, we need to know the muscle.
This is just the names of the muscles, the diagram.
So we need to know the parts of the body.
The parts, no. All the different names of them, no.
Well, like, you know the difference. So like, what type of are we?
Bones, muscles, yeah. Parts of the other systems, yeah. Good. You guys are all chatting and you're missing what Sarah just asked. It was a good question.
What she asked?
Shh. She's asking about this, about not anatomical position. She's asking about the relative positions. Remember, anterior, posterior, inferior, superior, lateral, medial, proximal, distal. She said, well, Mr. Ness, how will you ask those kind of questions if we don't use, because before we use the areas of the body, right? Cranial and all those kind of things. I'll use muscles. I'll use bones. I'll use parts of other systems. So this way I'm getting two questions for the price of one, right? So if I say to Andrew, which is more lateral, the radius or the ulna? Of course, he's in anatomical position. Which is more lateral, do you know? Radius or ulna?
Radius.
Radius is lateral, ulna is medial, right? Which is more distal, femur or tibia? Distal. Which is more distal? Further away. Huh? Femur, tibia. Fibula. So yes, the femur is more proximal, tibia is more distal. Which is more lateral? Fibula or tibia? Lateral. Lateral is fibula, tibia is on the medial side. Those kind of questions. Yeah. I like those the questions. Those are some of my favorite ones. Because I can get two or three things all at one time. Other questions? Yes? Secondary sex characteristics. Whatever is on this list as far as that goes. I can't remember.
Function of testosterone, like when it aided.
My word is shutting down. May I see? It says testosterone. What is testosterone's function? It certainly has an onset of that. Let's see what the book says about it. That'll be obviously chapter 19. Wow. Open right to it. Did we find where the sperm is? I'm not sperm, the testosterone is? Thank you. 513, testosterone. Okay.
It's the narrow, thick eyes, wet, broad neck shoulders, make the roots deeper and softer.
So the actions of testosterone, right? So they really stimulate the development of these secondary sexual characteristics. So yeah. I mean, I think that you all know them fairly easily, but yes. What are the secondary sexual characteristics in a male? Because the primary one is that sperm starts developing, right? Voice deepens. Hair, body hair, right? Face, other places. Broader shoulders.
Higher weight.
Usually narrower waist. Yep. Good. Stronger, bigger, right? What about female secondary sexual characteristics? Right? Breast development. What else? Sorry?
Deposition of adipose tissue on the hips and thighs.
Right, sure. They have fat that's laid down.
I will tell you right now if I find the page.
Yeah, it's over on page 522.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, that thing.
Vascularization. Yeah, widening of the hips. Yes. Oh my. Book's going crazy here. Okay, but no, the menstrual cycle is not secondary. That's primary, right? Primary sexual characteristic is having that egg released. Yeah, reproductive cycle, menstrual cycle, yes. Mhm. Good. I'm encouraging you, my friends. There will be plenty of diagrams on this test. We've done a number of these throughout the course of the year. You guys okay over there? They were looking deeply into each other's eyes. I thought we might lose them for a second. But they're here. End of the year thing, you know. We're all Twitter-pated. I am encouraging you. Just do your best. The more freaked out you get, the worse you will do. If you've paid attention, if you've spent the time that I've asked you to spend over the last week and a half studying here, you'll do fine. I know it's a lot of information, but you'll do fine. Okay? Well, pray hard. Okay? Good.